Hello and welcome back to Off The Crossbar with myself, Regan Walsh, and as ever my co-presenter Brad. The new season is just a few days away and it is that time of the year again, Brad.
Must be time for the early season predictions, as is tradition for every single football YouTube channel.
Yes, and obviously we're not going to shy away from that. So,
even if it does make us look stupid come the end.
Yes. What we've done is over the past few days, me and Brad have done a separate one each, and then we have came to an agreement on a final Premier League predictions for the Off The Crossbar podcast. And this is going to be our run through. We go from 20 all the way up to number 1.
Mutual agreement in inverted commas.
Yes. In 20th place, we have gone for Daniel Farke's Norwich City.
Shock horror.
Yes.
No, sorry,
Norwich obviously
we're not expecting much of you, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, joint most relegations in Premier League history alongside West Bromwich Albion with 5. Obviously lost key player Emi Buendia this summer to Aston Villa. Recruitment wise, nothing has stood out to me.
I would agree in a way, but I still think Milo Rashica could be a good buy for them.
Yeah.
Like, he's basically being put in to be the next Buendia.
Yeah. And for a first season, the Premier League's not really the league you want to be having it to be your first season in. You'd say a championship season just to get him used to English football, and then you're like, okay, that would be something you could say is good for him, but I think it's going to be a lot to ask for him. And then if you look at the rest of the signings they've done, none are really standout players. I mean, Angus Gunn from Southampton, Ben Gibson from Burnley, and then the rest are really a bunch of unknown players.
Potentially, but I think what's going to be important with Norwich as well is getting Timo Pukki firing. Because the last time they were in the Premier League, he started brilliantly for him, and then it just tailed off for him, and that ended up being a big problem for Norwich and helping them stay up in the end anyway.
Yeah. The loan signing that they've made though, Billy Gilmore, I think.
Yeah, that's weirdly
could be really promising.
Weirdly under the radar, that.
Yeah, I think he could do really well in this Norwich squad.
Yeah, it's good.
And
it's good first team experience for him, even if the season doesn't pan out.
Yeah. But otherwise, I'm not really expecting much of them, and that's why we've got them down at the bottom of the table. Next up, in 19th place, we have Burnley, Sean Dyche's men. I think for me, it's coming towards the end of their time in the Premier League. I know every season they're okay, but I think this year is the year that they go down.
We say that so nonchalantly. Yeah, Burnley are finished.
Yeah.
I can agree. I think transfer business as well hasn't been the greatest. They've signed 2 centre-backs, pretty much seen as the long-term replacements of Ben Mee and James Tarkowski.
Yeah, and Wayne Hennessy, who I doubt is going to be number 1 keeper. They're the only signings they've made. Obviously, we said Baden Gibson's gone to Norwich. Robbie Brady's left the club, and 2 other youngsters have left. So it's not really been that many ins and outs.
They're likely to miss Chris Wood for the start, given it he was just at the Olympics, so he's going to be tired.
Yeah, and I mean, the only reason they stayed up last season is because of how poor, realistically, if you look at it, how poor Sheffield United and West Brom were.
Well, the 3 that went down last season were bad.
Yeah, so that's why Burnley stayed up, is because the other 3 that went down were dreadful. So, for me, I'm expecting Sean Dyche's run to run out even, not run to look out. Look to run out is what I was trying to say.
They do like running.
Yes. 18th place. Sorry, Newcastle fans, but it's goodbye to Newcastle in the Premier League.
Oh, how way.
I mean, as of time of recording, no signings in, although they have agreed to bring in Joe Willock from Arsenal for 25 million. It's just not good enough, is it?
We say that, but look at what happened last season when they had Callum Wilson, Saint-Maximin and Willock firing. They salvaged something.
Yeah, finishing in 12th place last season. So
yeah, they're still a very poorly managed team. Their manager is low-key useless. From a tactical, from like a tactical perspective, he's just not the guy you want in charge.
And I think there's a lot more off-the-field stuff going on around Newcastle, obviously, with that rumoured Saudi Arabian takeover still being talked about in the courts, and then Mike Ashley himself has stepped down from a few of his other business roles, so there hasn't really been much talk of him investing in Newcastle this summer apart from this Willock transfer.
Well, that's what does make this Willock transfer slightly odd. Although they do seem to spend quite a bit of money on one player every season. We saw it was Joe Linton, the one, Saint-Maximin, and then Wilson this season.
Miguel Almiron as well. In that January transfer window.
Newcastle, they've got decent attackers, but I think that could still be their undoing. I just think defensively they're poor.
Yeah. Right, up to 17th and just surviving, we have Premier League newcomers again, Watford FC under Xisco Menez. I've liked some of the transfers they've made this summer. Emmanuel Dennis, Ashley Fletcher, Josh King, Danny Rose as well. I think good transfers, but I don't know.
Well, their base strength is actually players they already had at the club. That's the likes of Ismail Yassar, Will Hughes is there as well, and some of the youngsters there as well, João Pedro, Hernandez. Like they've got something, Watford. It's whether they can adapt well to the Premier League, because what benefited them last season, the Championship, was how good they were defensively.
Yeah. And some of the attacks they're going to have to come up against this season, it's going to be a lot harder for Xisco Menez's side than it was last season in the Championship.
I've kind of got them a little bit lower, personally, and my view of that was supported if you saw that picture doing the rounds of their defence against Crystal Palace in a pre-season friendly.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, could be a long season.
Up into 16th place, and it is first-time Premier League team Brentford FC. Brentford, obviously, first time ever playing in the Premier League, like I just said. Finally got up via the playoffs after about 4 or 5 attempts trying to get up into the Premier League. Thomas Frank's side, I think they're good enough to have a decent season, and I think anything over than relegation for them has got to be seen as a success.
Yeah, like transfer-wise, they've not done anything too spectacular, but that's not Brentford's style. They're quite specific in terms of who they look for. They're very data driven in their signings.
I mean, two main
Onyeka and Christopher Asia. Is that that's that? If that's how you say it, from Celtic. Yeah, not awful size, but it's going to be where they can adapt.
Yeah, obviously one of the losses from the team recently is obviously Emiliano Marcondes has left the club to join Bournemouth, but I think this squad, like you said, it's a very well done squad, and how they do their transfers and business, and it's a very good model that they've followed, and will be very interesting to see how they get on for the first time in the Premier League. And obviously it's only the end of this week as they're the first game this season against Arsenal on Friday night.
Perfect opposition for them to go up against first. To play their exciting brand of football against Arsenal of all people. It's going to be beautiful.
Next up in 15th we have Ralph Hasenhüttl and Southampton. Obviously the Saints last season, he started off well and then tailed off towards Christmas, and then massively tailed off in the new year, finishing 15th, because if you remember at one point, I think it was late October, they were first.
Yeah. Oh god, how long ago that feels.
Yeah, like they massively fell off last season.
It's like that.
But yeah, it's going to be.
They conceded the second most amount of goals in that second half of the season.
Who was top? West Brom.
I believe it was West Brom. No, but Southampton, as you said, they tailed off towards the end of last season, which is why I don't think this season's going to be particularly well. And they've just lost Danny Ings.
Yeah, they've lost quite a few. I mean, Mario Lemina, he obviously hasn't been that much in the squad the last 2 years because obviously he was on loan at Fulham last season. Angus Gunn, they've lost to Norwich. Obviously wasn't really the first choice keeper. Wesley Hoot, centre half. And their signings, really, nothing goes right. These are going to have a standout season. They're more building for the future in Tino Livramento and Dino Simu, who they both got from Chelsea. Ollie Lancashire again is a weird signing.
And then
Peru
yeah.
and Walcott.
Well, their Ings replacement as well looks like it's going to be Adam Armstrong, who had a pretty decent season in the Championship for Blackburn.
Yeah, but can he convert that into Premier League goals?
It's going to be a step up, but yeah, then again they said the same thing about Jack Grealish. So.
Well, yeah. Next up in 14th place we have Wolverhampton Wanderers under new manager Bruno Lage. It's going to be very interesting to see how they do under him this season. Obviously it's his first in charge of the club. Good news is they'll obviously have Raul Jimenez back after his head injury, but again their signings, nothing really screams out to me, oh, this is a world-class signing for them.
Well, there's one that I think Francisco Trincao is different when you're looking at in that argument, but the others don't scream like the high quality that we've seen them buy in the past.
They haven't really spent crazy on any of their signings. I mean, most notable one will be that Rayan Nouri, who's a really highly rated youngster, obviously only 20 years of age, but we don't know what to expect from him. And then they haven't really lost anyone too bad transfer wise, so it's going to be very interesting to see. And obviously, time of recording, there's still days left in the transfer window. You never know whether Ruben Neves does actually leave the club.
Yeah, same with like someone like Pedro Neto as well, who they got out injured.
It's going to be very interesting to see how Wolves do this season, and I think they should be able to fare better than they did last season, because
it's interesting because
last season they were... The
belief around Bruno Lage coming in was that they were going to be more attacky, but see the pre-season stuff, apparently they're still sticking with their 3-4-3. So it'll be interesting to see how much does actually change.
Next up, 13th, we've got Crystal Palace under new manager Patrick Vieira. How do you think they will get on under Vieira this season?
Honestly, I've got no idea. This could go two ways. A, it works out, and this ends up being a solid season for them, in which Paddy Vieira surprises a few people and is actually slightly decent. Or B, this is going to be terrible, and Vieira is just not a manager. Yeah.
Very impressed with the signings they've made this season, though. Mark Guéhi in from Chelsea, Marco Elise from Reading, Joachim Andersen from Lyon, and Conor Gallagher on loan. I think these are really good signings for Palace. And so far, obviously, it gets talked about every transfer window. They've managed to keep on hold of Wilfried Zaha. Players they've lost, I think a lot of them really aren't too much to worry about. I think it was a lot of them age-wise. Obviously, the likes of Andros Townsend, James McCarthy, Wayne Hennessy,
Van Aanholt,
Scott Dan, Van Aanholt, Cahill. It's a lot of older players, so it seems like it is going to be one to build for the future for Patrick Vieira's side. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they do get on. And if, like you said, I agree, it will go over one or two ways. He'll either be gone by October, because they'll have had that poor of a start to the season, or it'll end up being a decent season for them and they'll look okay but nothing too special.
Whereas, for what we've got with this putting in third team, I think it's going to be slightly mixed. I think maybe it doesn't start as well, but I think it will pick up.
Yeah. Right, next up we have Brighton and Hove Albion finishing in 12th place. Nothing really changes for me. I mean, obviously they've lost Ben White to Arsenal for 50 million. Ali Reza Yakanbash has gone off to Feyenoord. But transfer out wise, I don't think they've lost anything too bad. Obviously it'll be interesting to see how they do replace Ben White. And again, another team that haven't really done much. You'd say, okay, these are really good top class signings for them. I mean, they've got Enoch Mwepo from Salzburg, Gary Dicker in from Kilmarnock, and then they got in Ajax goalkeeper Kjell Scherpen. So it'll be very interesting to see how they do.
I was going to say, for me,
this season,
I think Brighton are a top quality striker away from a top 10 finish.
Yeah,
like, would they create?
I have to
they
agree
create all
with
the
you.
chances. We saw that enough last season, and it was
yeah,
the stat
100%.
expected goals. You know, that old chestnut. Brighton would have been fifth.
Which is absolutely ridiculous to think.
So, as I said, they are a better striker than Danny Welbeck away from being a good side.
Yeah. Next up in 11th place we have Everton Football Club. Obviously under new manager Rafa Benitez, which obviously shocked many people that he went there. But their signings this season, I'm sorry to say, none of them are good enough, are they?
Last season they were signing the likes of Decore, James Rodriguez,
Alan.
Yeah, and now they're signing Andros Tazed, Asbir Begovic and Dabari Gray. Although I don't want to put Dabari Gray in that same context because he could be alright for them.
Yeah. But the other two signings...
Yeah. Like Everton fans are slightly depressed enough about the season because Rafa Benitez is now their manager. The signings just don't add any excitement.
No, and they have lost a lot of players this season. Yannick Bolassi's left the club, Josh King's left, Theo Walcott's left, Bernard's left as well. So there's nothing really filling me with hope in this Everton squad this season.
It feels like the most meh season ever is coming.
Yeah.
And which it's even worse because Rafa has to have a good start. Otherwise, Goodison Park is going to be toxic.
If it's not already going to be toxic enough.
Trust me, I've been there.
Right, next up in 10th place, start of the top half, we have West Ham United under David Moyes. Great season for them last season, getting into the Europa League, but I do think having that pressure of European football is going to take its toll on them, and that's why I'm seeing them slip a little further back down the table this year.
It's also a bit of a squad depth thing as well. That, like, you look at their side, there's not been anyone that stands out in particular. I know they're linked with Milenkovic now, but that's not going to be a massive signing, though, is it?
No, it's a quality signing.
It's a good depth.
I think he's a very good player.
Defensively, they might have depth now, but everywhere else, I think, just isn't that much better.
No. And I have to agree, it's just nothing's filling me with massive confidence with this squad. I mean, looking at their pre-season friendlies so far, I mean, the other day they beat Atalanta 2-0, beat Brentford 1-0. It seems like Ben Rama's had the best pre-season for them.
It feels like
no one else has really stood out.
It feels like it'll be his make or break season for them. Will this be the one that will trust him more to be a standout?
Yeah, it will be very, very interesting to see. And as well, there could be potential new ownership on the way for West Ham. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about this agency or group PIA that are interested in buying them. that has the backing of Rio Ferdinand and his brother Anton as well. But I think the Gold, Sullivan and Brady are very hard to dissuade. Obviously, in the past there's been a lot of rumours of them being potentially bought out, but I think it's going to be hard to see them change ownership. Right, 9th place we have Marcelo Bielsa's Leeds United. Not too disheartened after their transfers they've done. I mean, they brought in Junior Firpo from Barcelona. They've made Jack Harrison's transfer permanent as well. They brought in a goalkeeper from Norway. Not too bad, but I think they've lost a few big players this season. I mean, Alioski has left, Barry Douglas has left, Berardi's left, Pablo Hernandez has left the club this summer. It's quite a few players that they've lost this year.
I mean, I don't know about Leeds fans, but I think the only one out of that lot they'll be slightly unhappy to see leave would be Pablo Hernandez. Like
I thought he was going to say Alioski.
Well, Alioski got a lot of hate towards the end. So
I think it's because he wasn't renewing his contract there.
I don't know what the issue was.
That was the main problem with.
Anyway, I still think Leeds are in a strong position, and I personally think it could be a good season for them. But the compromise has left them 9th, so
yes,
I make as that one.
8th place now, Mikel Arteta's Arsenal. I mean, transfer-wise, hasn't been anything impressive realistically, has it?
Well, let's be honest, by Arsenal standards, spending that much money is a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, Ben White, 50 million from Brighton. Is he worth it? I mean, yes, he's still young and could become worth it, but at this minute in time, if you look at other transfers that have been done, I mean, I know it's been case in point, and I'm saying it's because he's a Man United player now. Rafa Varane for 34 million compared to Ben White for 50 million.
You can wax lyrical about that one in a minute. Just
and then the other two main players they've signed, Nuno Tavares and Albert Sambi Lokonga. No one really knows a lot about them. Both young players, and it seems like they are definitely players for the future under Mikel Arteta.
The big question is this the last time we could technically call this the transition season?
I don't even know whether we can call it a transition season.
That's what I meant. But yeah, it's always like Arteta has to start delivering now.
Yeah.
But I don't see it.
No, I mean, from what I see, it's going to be a long old season, and it wouldn't surprise me if you see, come what January, one of their forward two, aka Lacazette or Aubameyang, end up leaving the club.
I'm surprised they didn't sign another attacker.
It's Arsenal though, so I'm not really. I mean, they're still trying to get Willian off their paybooks,
Yeah,
and
they did well to
that
get Smith-Rowe to sign the new contract as well. That would be big because he'll be a key player for them now this season.
Oh, 100% agree. And I think Saka as well, he's going to have another good season.
Yeah. I think with Smith-Rowe, it's his first full season with Arsenal properly, because he got in towards the end, didn't he?
Yeah. He was like in and out of the squad last season at times, and then he did say about February, March time he seemed to fully cement his place in that Arsenal squad.
If I go by Gareth Southgate logic, he'll be in the England squad by October.
Yes. Next up, Aston Villa in 7th place. The signings Dean Smith has made. I'm just going to give him a round of applause.
Give him a round of applause, he had no choice.
Yeah, but I love the signings they've made. Emi Buendia in from Norwich, Ashley Young in from Inter Milan. Although I'm not expecting Young to play every game this season, the experience he's going to bring to that dressing room is going to be absolutely brilliant. Leon Bailey from Bayer Leverkusen, I think it's going to be a top signing. And Danny Ings from Southampton. It came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I think the best thing about this, it always also makes it slightly hard to judge this team, because I don't think we're done. Transfer wise, I think there's still a midfielder to come in, whether that's Ward-Prowse or not. Who knows?
We don't know yet. Yeah. Obviously, the big player that you've lost this summer, Jack Grealish to Manchester City, as that was confirmed the other day. But like you said, if you get that one midfielder in, I'm still quietly confident of Villa having a good season this year.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of other predictions having us slightly lower. Like, no one else is backing us to be around the top 8. That a lot of people think that the absence of Jack Iscariot, sorry, Jack Grealish. I think it's a judgment. I back the boys.
Yeah, and I do like I said, I'm very happy with the business you've done so far.
As more people should be.
Yes. Next up, in 6th place, we have Nuno Espirito Santo's Spurs. I'm going them, or I did in my personal prediction, had them quite high because I still expect Harry Kane to be amongst them. Mm-hmm. You had them a lot lower because obviously I think you
changed that. I changed that eventually and I put them in pretty much the same place. Because, the Harry Kane transfer is not going to be as easy as it seems, at least at this current time we're recording.
Yeah. Transfers in, they've only made one permanent signing, and that is Brian Gill from Sevilla, highly rated youngster. They managed to do a swap deal for Eric Lamela.
I'm pretty sure
and some cash.
Christian Rivera has signed.
He's a loan to permanent next season because of their funds.
I missed the loan part of that.
Yeah, they
confirmed
still a
decent signing for them.
Yeah, I think he obviously comes in and replaces Toby Alderweireld, who has left the club to travel to Al Duhail, in Qatar. Other signings this season.
The interesting away from the signings, the interesting thing is Nuno hasn't got them playing the same sort of style that he was doing with Wolves.
Yeah,
but they're staying pretty similar to what they used to. Whether that changes when Kane leaves or if he leaves.
If.
Who knows?
Yeah. Next up in 5th place we have Brendan Rodgers. Leicester City.
We call them Brendy's boys.
Yes. They've signed some good players. Patson Daka, I think he's going to be an absolute cracking signing. Boubacar Samare in midfield. Again, I think he's going to be a really good player. And the players they've lost, none of them are really going to hurt them. It's just a lot of older players they've lost. Obviously you look at Wes Morgan's left and Christian Fuchs as well. It's not really... none of them players that they've lost were first-team players. Obviously their big downplay this season is they're going to be without Wesley Fofana for the rest of 2021 after he got injured in a pre-season. Was it pre-season for him? Yeah, it wasn't the Community Shield.
It was that Villarreal game. But
yeah.
I do think they replace him. I think they bring in another centre-back again just so they can keep playing the three at the back.
Yeah. So it'll be very interesting. And again, I think it's going to be one of them seasons for Leicester where they'll be up in and around the top 4 throughout the season.
But I think they're there now.
Yeah, they're a top 6 side now.
They're more of a top 6 side than Arsenal right now.
Oh, 100%. Next up, in 4th place, we have Liverpool. Only one signing this summer in Ibrahima Konate.
Yeah.
For 36 million.
Sort of expected a midfielder signing to replace Gini Wijnaldum, but that's not happened. But let's face it, the biggest thing that's happened with that club is the return of almost every single player.
Well, yeah.
Just
Van Dijk and Gomez expected to be fully fit for the season. Obviously, they played in some of the pre-season games as well. It's going to be... I don't know. I'm just not as confident. I don't know whether it is because of their injury-struck season last year, and that's why a lot of confidence in me personally in that Liverpool team has massively gone down compared to their total. The season before they won the title, and then their title-winning season.
Well, yeah, because if we do look on paper, with squad as it is, fully fit, it's the team that was getting 197 points in 2 seasons.
It's still incredible.
Like, can we roll them out of a title push? Like, if they're on it.
I think...
But, like, who knows? We've got them 4th now. don't see it happening. I don't think it'll be as bad as last season. I think they'll still be around there, but they're not going to be the level that I expect the title race to be.
Yeah. Up in third place next we have Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's Manchester United. Obviously they've got their main signing done finally after a year of waiting in Jadon Sancho. Great signing for the Red Devils, I think, and it's going to be very interesting to see how he does fit in his first full season as a professional at Manchester United. Rafa Varane is practically done, just got to wait for his medical as a time of recording. And player out-wise, they haven't really lost any players, have they?
Cough, best defender at the club, Axel Tuanzebe.
I mean, he's only gone out on loan. They've also loaned out Tahith Chong and Facundo Palestri. Obviously, they're all young players for the future. But I'm quietly confident about United this season. Obviously, managed to get Edinson Cavani to sign a new contract until the end of this forthcoming season. So it's looking like it could be a good year for United. And obviously, everyone's going to speak of that main pre-season friendly where they lost 4-2 to QPR, but the rest of the pre-season has been good. I mean, won the other two games against Derby County and then Everton at this weekend just gone. Drew with Brentford, and they're finally getting a lot of their players back from the Euros. Maguire obviously was involved the other day. Fernandes as well involved against Everton. So I think this coming weekend we'll probably see everyone back. Obviously Rashford's still injured and I think it's out until October, so that's their only main worry, and I don't expect Varane to be in from the start. But apart from that, I think it's a good window for United.
Do I need to say anything? I think you've pretty much covered it.
Yeah. Second place we have Chelsea. Thomas Tuchel having a full season with the Blues now, and they're about to officially confirm the signing of Romelu Lukaku, so going to be a big signing for him.
Yeah, I should. Where the Lukaku transfer's come from, I've no idea. But I was so tempted to put them as potential winners. Because I think that Lukaku side just gives them an extra edge. They've got a goal scorer now.
Yeah, 100%.
But the big thing with Chelsea is tactically how they are.
Oh yeah, I agree. Like what's is going to be Tuchel's main 11 this season? I think that's going to be too hard to try and predict this season.
Yeah, I expect them to be better league-wise now. The full season of the Tuchel, they're the champions of Europe. They can't have a bad season now. Although every time they have now won the Champions League, it follows a bad season.
Yeah, and I mean, only notable two transfer outs. You got to say that they've lost Fikayo Tomori, but he didn't really play at all last season. Obviously, being on loan at AC Milan, and Olivier Giroud. But you got to say bringing in Lukaku whilst losing Giroud is a win in Chelsea's eyes.
Yeah.
And top of the table, Manchester City. Guardiola obviously has brought in Jack Grealish this summer. There's obviously still potential rumours that they could potentially get Harry Kane. Just
simply put it, they could have the best assembled squad in the history of the Premier League by the end of the transfer window.
Yeah.
So they should be champions.
Oh, 100%. And they look like a really good team, and I think, like you said, it's going to be hard to beat them. Even without Kane, I think it's still going to be a really good season for them, and I think they're still going to be one of the teams to beat this year.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot to knock them off the perch, as it is.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Right, that is the end of our predictions. We'll be back later on this week for a full Premier League preview of the season, and just looking ahead to football fully being back in the top division. Obviously, we've had the lower leagues back this past weekend, but
full stadiums.
Games until
just full stadiums.
Right, make sure you like, comment and subscribe, turn on post notifications so you never miss a post, and also follow us on Twitter at OffTCPod, so you can always follow us out for the latest news and stories from around the world of football. And until then, it's goodbye from Brad.
See ya.
And goodbye from me. We'll see you soon.